In the year 2254, Earth had extended its reach beyond the confines of its solar atmosphere, touching the distant corners of the known universe. The discovery of the Solari, an alien race with translucent skin and a culture deeply embedded in harmony with their lush, water-rich planet of Akathora, marked a pivotal moment in human history. The Solari, with their elongated limbs and bioluminescent veins that pulsed with the rhythm of their planet's tides, had developed technology that was profoundly different from anything humans had seen. Their technology didn't harness electricity or fuel, but was based on the manipulation of water currents and sound vibrations. Dr. Alara Miles, a leading astroculturist, was part of the Earth's United Nations Extraterrestrial Relations Committee and had been instrumental in establishing first contact with the Solari. Alara, with her sharp features and keen mind, was always at the forefront of interstellar diplomacy. "We have much to learn from each other," Alara had said during their first assembly, addressing the Solari Council in their fluid, melodious language, which she had painstakingly learned over months of preparation. The Solari High Priestess, Sayara, who led the council, had responded warmly. "And much to share, but also much to guard against." It was during these early exchanges that the humans learned of the Vrok, a predatory race that had been encroaching on Solari territories, exploiting their planet's resources. The Vrok were relentless, using their advanced war machinery to intimidate and conquer, their motives driven by a cold, expansionist agenda. Ilara's mission quickly pivoted from one of mere cultural exchange to forming a strategic alliance. The humans, represented by Alara, offered their military and technological expertise in exchange for access to the Solari's unique technologies and vast knowledge of the galaxy's aquatic systems. General Marcus Finn, a decorated veteran of Earth's interstellar fleet, was tasked with the military training of the Solari. Despite his initial skepticism regarding the Solari's ability to engage in combat, they who revered peace and meditation, Marcus grew to respect their quick adaptability and deep intuitive understanding of natural forces. Together, Marcus and Alara worked closely with Sayara and her council to devise a training program that combined human strategic thinking with Solari elemental manipulation. The training camps were set up along the archipelagos of Akthora, where the Solari felt most at home, the gentle hum of the tides boosting their innate abilities. "We are not warriors by nature," Sayara confessed one evening as she and Alara watched the sunset from the floating pavilion of the council hall. "But we will defend our home with all the strength we possess, borrowed or not." Alara nodded, understanding the weight of the decision that lay upon the Solari shoulders. "And you will not stand alone," she promised. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the Solari recruits began to show remarkable progress. They learned to harness their control over water to create shields and projectiles, and their sensitive hearing allowed them to detect the slightest disturbances in their environment, making them formidable sentinels. News of their growing prowess spread throughout their world, stirring a sense of unity and purpose that had been dormant for centuries. The Solari were awakening to their potential, not just as survivors, but as defenders of their realm. Meanwhile, human engineers worked with Solari scientists to integrate their water-based technology with human machinery, creating hybrid defenses that could operate both in and out of water. This synergy marked the birth of a new era in tactical defense systems, one that was about to be tested sooner than they anticipated. As the first Vrok scout ships were spotted in the outer orbit of Akthora, the Alliance braced for their first real confrontation. The stakes were incredibly high, not just for the Solari, but for humanity as well. The battle for Akthora was not just about territory. It was about proving that two vastly different races could not only coexist, but could unite under a common cause. As the dark silhouette of the Vrok fleet loomed against the stars, Alara and Sayara stood side by side. "Together," Sayara whispered, her voice steady and sure. "Together," Alara affirmed, her eyes fixed on the approaching threat, her heart steady with resolve and a newfound hope for the future. The horizon of Akthora glimmered ominously under the siege engines of the Vrok, a stark contrast to the tranquil dusk the planet was accustomed to. As the first barrage of energy pulses rained down from the Vrock ships, the waters around the Solari archipelagos roared in defiance, whipped into fury by the Solari's newfound command of their elemental abilities. Elara Miles, standing at the command center with Sayara and General Marcus Finn, watched the readouts flicker with incoming data. The hybrid defenses, a blend of human ingenuity and Solari natural magic, were holding steady, but it was only the first wave. "Recalibrate the ion shields to absorb the next pulse series," Marcus instructed, his voice a calm command over the chaos of alerts and status updates. The Solari operators, their fingers moving fluidly over water-infused control panels, nodded in understanding. Their ability to communicate non-verbally, a whisper through the ripples of water, made their response time almost instantaneous. Outside, the Vrock continued their assault, unaware of the silent coordination between the defenders. The air vibrated with the power of converging technologies, as water shields enhanced with ionic particles dispersed the energy attacks, causing them to shimmer and dissolve before they could reach the surface. Elara turned to Sayara, noting the resolve in the High Priestess's luminescent eyes. "Your people adapt quickly. The Vrock won't expect this level of resistance." Sayara's lips curled up slightly, a rare smile during such grim times. "Nor will they expect what's coming next." At her signal, the Solari sentinels stationed along the coastlines dove into the waters, their bodies glowing with the energy of their home planet. Below the ocean's surface, they began the chant that would awaken the deep-sea leviathans, long dormant creatures of immense power and protection. The ocean floor trembled as these giants of the deep responded to the call of their Solari kin. Back in the command center, the human and Solari technicians worked fervently to coordinate a counterstrike. Marcus oversaw the deployment of drones that emitted frequencies disruptive to the Vrock's navigation systems. As the drones launched, swarming like a cloud of metallic insects, they blurred the sensors of the Vrock fleet, throwing their formations into disarray. "This is our chance! Push forward with the kinetic wave amplifiers!" Marcus's order cut through the air. The devices, designed to amplify the Solari's control over water, sent massive waves crashing against the hulls of the Vrock ships, battering them with the force of the planet itself. The Vrock, realizing the ferocity of their opponents, began to deploy their ground troops, massive beings clad in armor that clanked with each heavy step. As they descended in drop pods toward the planet's surface, the Solari prepared to meet them head-on. Elara, pulling up the tactical display, pointed to the areas of predicted landfall. "We need to focus our defenses here and here. If they gain a foothold—" "They won't," Sayara interjected, her confidence bolstered by the sight of her people rising to the occasion. The Solari warriors, though peaceful by nature, had embraced the gravity of their plight, with a solemn dedication to protect their home. As the first of the Vrock warriors emerged from their pods, they were met not just by the physical might of Solari warriors, but by the psychological warfare of the Solari's harmonic weapons, tools that used sound to disorient and incapacitate. The battlefield, strewn with the confused and faltering enemies, bore witness to the effective melding of human and Solari strategies. In the skies, the battle raged on, with the human pilots executing aerial maneuvers that the Vrock found unpredictable. The Solari, using their understanding of natural forces, augmented the aircraft's agility, making them extensions of the planet's will. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the battleground, Elara and Sayara knew that the night would bring new challenges. But for now, they had proven that unity was not just an ideal, but a formidable force. The Vrock, retreating to regroup, left the night to the defenders. In the lull, the waters calmed, and the stars shone brightly above Akathora, a silent testament to the resilience of those determined to protect their world. As the first light of dawn filtered through Akthora's atmosphere, the temporary silence broke with the resurgence of the Vrock forces. They had recalibrated, their approach now masked by a new strategy that involved high-altitude bombing, attempting to destabilize the Solari's coastal defenses from above. General Marcus Finn, scrutinizing the shifting battle tactics, coordinated with Alara and the Solari engineers to enhance the aerial defenses. "We need to intercept those bombers before they reach optimal altitude. Prepare the pulse cannons," he directed, his eyes never leaving the strategic display that illuminated the dim command center. The pulse cannons, a hybrid marvel of Solari sound technology and human military engineering, were strategically positioned around the archipelago. They emitted a concentrated beam of sonic energy that could disrupt the internal systems of the Vrak bombers, rendering them inoperative before they could release their payloads. Alara, meanwhile, facilitated a meeting with Sayara and the Solari spiritual leaders, exploring unconventional tactics that could leverage their connection with their planet. "What about the mists?" she suggested, referring to the legendary Solari ability to summon dense fogs from the ocean. Sayara nodded, her face set with determination. "Yes, the ancestral mists. We can cloak our islands, make it impossible for their bombers to target us accurately." Within hours, the Solari mystics gathered at the shoreline, their chants rising in a haunting melody that resonated across the waters. The ocean responded, exhaling a thick, enveloping fog that spread rapidly, shrouding the islands in an impenetrable veil. The Vrak bombers, now blind, veered off course, their missions thwarted by ancient forces they could neither see nor anticipate. On the ground, the Solari warriors and human soldiers prepared for the inevitable ground invasion that would follow the failed aerial assault. Marcus deployed tactical units in key positions, relying on the heightened senses of the Solari to detect the faint vibrations of the approaching enemy troops. The Vrak warriors, adapted to brute force and direct confrontations, found themselves outmatched in the guerrilla warfare that ensued. Small, agile teams of Solari and humans ambushed the invaders, utilizing the terrain and their camouflaged positions to their advantage. In these skirmishes, a young Solari named Teren emerged as a formidable leader. His ability to manipulate water was unmatched, even among his peers. With a flick of his hands, he could pull moisture from the air to create icicles, hurling them like spears with deadly precision. Under his command, a squadron of Solari youths decimated an entire platoon of Vrak, bolstering the morale of the defenders. Meanwhile, in the orbit above Akthora, human space fighters engaged the Vrak fleet, their ships enhanced with Solari technology that allowed them to move with fluid, almost organic grace. The human pilots, skilled in dogfighting, found that the addition of Solari spatial awareness gave them an edge, allowing them to predict and evade enemy fire with ease. As the day progressed, the tide of the battle shifted visibly. The Vrak, confounded by the unexpected ferocity and ingenuity of their adversaries, began to falter. Communications intercepted by the command center revealed their growing desperation, their commanders unable to adapt to the fluid dynamics of the fight. Alara watched the battle unfold, her mind racing with possibilities and plans. Beside her, Sayara stood resolute, her eyes reflecting a fierce pride in her people's courage. Together, they coordinated the next phase of their strategy, ready to exploit the weakening resolve of their enemy. The sun set over Akthora once more, its light dying in the waters that had become both shield and weapon for the planet's defenders. The Vrak had been repelled but not defeated. The night would bring time for both sides to regroup, but now, under the stars, the defenders of Akthora knew they were not merely surviving, they were prevailing. In the cooling darkness of Akthora's night, Alara and Sayara convened an urgent strategy session with their top advisors. The command center buzzed with low, intense discussions as they analyzed the day's victories and losses. The air was thick with the electric pulse of hybrid technology humming in the background, a reminder of the strange new symbiosis between human and Solari science. General Marcus Finn presented the latest surveillance data, showing a regrouping of Vrak forces beyond the moon's orbit. "They're consolidating their fleet. Looks like they're preparing for a major push," he reported, his finger tracing the red blips that marked Vrak activity on the holographic map. Sayara, her expression composed yet vibrant with the unspoken connection to her planet, suggested, "It is time we consider unleashing the abyssal tide." The room fell silent. The abyssal tide, a legendary Solari maneuver that manipulated the very seabed to create seismic disruptions, had never been used in warfare. Ilara, understanding the gravity of the decision, nodded slowly. If we synchronize the abyssal tide with our orbital strike capabilities, we might disrupt their fleet long enough to push them out of the system. The planning was meticulous. Human engineers and Solari water shamans worked side by side, their efforts focused on integrating seismic data with orbital trajectory calculations to time the attack perfectly. As preparations for the counteroffensive ramped up, Turan took to the field once more, leading reconnaissance missions to probe the enemy's formations. His squad, a mix of human commandos and Solari waterbenders, moved stealthily through the night, gathering crucial intelligence that would shape the impending assault. The Alliance's resolve hardened with each passing hour, the bond between the races growing deeper as they shared technology, tactics, and tales of Earth and Akathora. Human soldiers learned to appreciate the Solari's deep spiritual connection to their planet, while the Solari marveled at human resilience and ingenuity. As dawn approached, the fleets positioned themselves. The Solari summoners began their deep chant, their voices a low rumble that vibrated through the ocean. Far above, human pilots in their enhanced fighters tightened their grips on the controls, ready for the signal to launch their devastating strike. The moment arrived with the first light of dawn. The ocean around Akathora churned violently as the seabed shifted, sending massive shockwaves through the planet's crust. Simultaneously, human ships executed a coordinated barrage of plasma torpedoes, timed to exploit the disarray among the Vrak fleet caused by the seismic upheaval. The impact was catastrophic for the Vrak. Their ships, caught off guard by the planetary-scale assault, suffered critical damage. Debris from the shattered vessels rained down into Akthora's atmosphere, burning up as bright streaks against the morning sky. On the ground, Marcus led the charge, rallying his troops for what they hoped would be the final push. Armed with advanced weaponry, and supported by the Solari's command of water and earth, the ground forces advanced on the remaining Vrak encampments. The battle raged throughout the day, fierce and unyielding. Turan and his squad excelled in guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly and retreating before the Vrak could mount a counterattack. In the air, human pilots dove through the chaos, their craft almost dancing around the enemy fire, protected and enhanced by Solari magic. As the sun set once again, the tide of battle had turned decisively. The Vrak forces, overwhelmed by the unexpected ferocity and depth of the joint human-Solari strategy, began to retreat, their command structure in disarray. Exhausted but exhilarated, Ilara and Sayara surveyed the battlefield from the command center, their screens now showing the retreat of the Vrak ships. The victory was not without cost, but it was clear. Akthora had been defended, its people and their allies bound together by a shared fight for survival and dignity. The night that followed was one of cautious celebration and reflection. The victory had proven the strength of their alliance, a testament to what diverse beings could achieve when united by common cause and respect. As the remnants of the Vrak fleet limped away into the darker recesses of the galaxy, Ilara and Sayara, alongside their respective councils, convened to assess the aftermath and strategize for the future. The command center, once a flurry of urgent activity, now hummed with a quieter, more reflective energy. General Marcus Finn updated the assembly on the remaining Vrak threats. Their fleet's backbone is broken, but scattered elements may still pose a threat to outlying areas, he advised, highlighting areas on the holographic map where surveillance had detected residual activity. Sayara responded with a note of caution, her voice resonant with the weariness of the prolonged conflict. We must fortify our defenses, not just against the Vrak, but any who might perceive our recent vulnerability as an opportunity. The conversation shifted towards reconstruction and fortification. Human engineers proposed the expansion of the hybrid defense network, incorporating more of the Solari's natural technologies. Meanwhile, Solari architects and water shamans discussed the healing of their planet's scarred landscapes, integrating human environmental recovery techniques. Turan, emerging as a leader among the Solari, suggested forming mixed units of human and Solari youths for ongoing defense and cultural exchange. Let them learn from each other, grow together, It will strengthen our bond and our readiness, he proposed. His idea met with nods of approval from both sides. Ilara took the opportunity to introduce a new initiative, the establishment of an interstellar research and cultural exchange center on Akthora. It will be a place where the best minds from both our worlds can collaborate, not just on defense, but on advancing all fields of science and art, she envisioned. As these plans took shape, scouts reported unusual seismic activities in a previously dormant region of Akthora. Intrigued, Sayara organized a team of her best elementalists to investigate, accompanied by human scientists specialized in geophysics. What they discovered deep beneath Akathora's surface would redefine the scope of their alliance. The seismic activity had uncovered an ancient Solari ruin, predating their current civilization by millennia. The ruin was inscribed with writings that spoke of historical alliances and wars with other galactic entities, hinting at the existence of other advanced civilizations within their reach. Excited by the discovery, Sayara shared the findings with the wider community, sparking a renewed interest in the ancient histories of Akthora and the potential allies or adversaries hidden among the stars. Meanwhile, Ilara coordinated with Earth's Space Command, securing support for a deep space mission to trace the origins of the Vruk conflict and to understand the broader galactic dynamics. The mission, equipped with the best of human and Solari technology, would also seek potential allies, guided by the ancient star maps found in the ruins. As the preparations for the mission progressed, the people of Akthora worked to rebuild their homes and lives. The scars of battle were slowly healing, replaced by constructions that were a testament to human Solari cooperation. The landscape itself began to thrive again, its recovery accelerated by the combined efforts of both civilizations. In the newly established exchange center, young Solari and humans learned about each other's cultures, sciences, and dreams. They trained together, shared stories, and built friendships that crossed the stars, friendships that were the living heart of the Alliance. As the mission's launch day approached, a sense of anticipation filled the air. The crew, a mix of seasoned astronauts and eager young scholars from both races, prepared to embark on a journey that would take them beyond the known, into the realm of ancient galactic history and into new alliances. Ilara and Sayara stood together, watching the preparations, their thoughts as much on the future as on the immediate adventure. They knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but they also knew that their united front had already changed the course of their worlds forever. The night before the launch, as Akthora's 2 moons shone brightly in the sky, a celebration took place under the stars. It was a celebration of peace, resilience, and the unbreakable bond that had been forged in the heat of battle, and would now be tested in the cold expanse of space. On the day of the launch, the air around Akthora's newly constructed spaceport was charged with a mix of excitement and solemnity. The spacecraft, a sleek vessel named the Harmony, stood ready, embodying the pinnacle of joint technological advancements. Its hull bore inscriptions in both human and Solari scripts, symbolizing the unity that had propelled this ambitious mission. General Marcus Finn, alongside Terran and other dignitaries from both races, addressed the crowd gathered to witness the historic departure. Today we don't just send a ship into the unknown, we send a message to the universe, that together we are stronger, and we seek not conquest but understanding and peace, he declared, his voice echoing over the assembly. As the astronauts made their way to the spacecraft, Sayara and Ilara shared a quiet moment, their gaze fixed on the vessel that carried their hopes. Whatever they find out there, it will change us, Sayara mused, her voice a mix of hope and apprehension. Ilara nodded, her eyes reflective. Change, yes, but as long as we face it together, as we have these past months, we can navigate any storm. The engines of the Harmony ignited, sending a tremor through the ground and a roar through the air. Spectators watched, breath held, as the ship ascended, its trajectory a brilliant arc against the sky. As it disappeared into the blackness of space, a collective sense of pride and expectation settled over the crowd. Back on Akthora, life progressed under the new norms of reconstruction and shared governance. The Research and Cultural Exchange Center flourished, becoming a beacon of galactic diplomacy and cooperation. Young learners from different worlds mingled, their ideas and laughter a balm to the scars left by past conflicts. Months into the mission, the Harmony crew transmitted their first major discovery, a derelict space station orbiting a barren planet, bearing the hallmarks of the ancient civilization mentioned in the Solari ruins. Inside, they found technology that, while dormant, hinted at advancements that could benefit dozens of worlds, including Akthora and Earth. The findings spurred a series of expeditions, each uncovering more about the galaxy's history and the civilizations that shaped it. With each discovery, the data was shared freely between Akthora and Earth, each revelation bringing a new understanding of their place in the cosmos. Meanwhile, the remnants of the Vrak, scattered and leaderless, observed the growing influence of the human-Solari alliance. In a turn of unforeseen events, a faction reached out seeking parley. They were tired of conflict, influenced by the unity they had witnessed. Alara and Sayara, ever cautious but always visionary, agreed to the talks, which took place on a neutral space station. The discussions were tense, fraught with historical grievances, but guided by the principle of peaceful advancement that had become the cornerstone of the alliance. Months of negotiations resulted in a tentative agreement to integrate the Vrak into the galactic community, under strict regulations and shared oversight. This development was met with mixed feelings across human and Solari societies, but most recognized it as a step towards a more stable galaxy. As the first anniversary of the launch approached, Akthora celebrated not just the departure of the Harmony, but also the newfound peace and the promise of a united future. The skies of Akthora, once marred by the trails of warships, now played host to vibrant displays of lights, celebrations of the unity that had defended, discovered, and diplomatically expanded their world. Sayara and Alara, watching the festivities from the command center, shared a smile. Their alliance had weathered the storm of war, ventured into the unknown reaches of space, and turned enemies into potential allies. As the celebrations continued into the night, the legacy of their partnership stood as a testament to the power of unity and the endless possibilities of peace. The universe was vast, filled with countless stories waiting to be told, and now, together, they were ready to be part of them.